Hi Alex, welcome to Product Talk series by Pragmatic Leaders. We are glad to have you in the session today. And thanks a lot everyone for joining us in the session today. So before we start today's session, I would like to give a little intro about Pragmatic Leaders. At Pragmatic Leaders, you all are part of global family of aspirational professionals who proactively help each other and are invested in each other's career growth. Pragmatic Leader functions like a full stack global career accelerator that rests on three core pillars. Pillar one is educate. We help you upskill via our proven courses and professional industry coaches. Pillar two is engage. We run a global community of product managers on Slack with access to online and offline meetups. Pillar three is employ. We operate a job platform and dedicated interview preparation courses to help you crack your dream job. So with that note, let's begin our session now. Alex has already joined us. We are really glad to see you here. And
Yes,
Alex,
thanks for having me, and I'm really, really happy to be joining your community and sharing a bit of knowledge from my more than 8 years as a product manager. And I just have this T-shirt just against COVID, so there's always a new opportunity. So one of the things I've learned throughout my career is just to focus on the problem, and I'm going to be walking through how to do this in different stages of where your product could be, okay? So I'm going to talk a bit about me. I started working as a product manager in my career in Telefonica, and I was first project manager leading with products like search engines, apps, and mobile advertising. After some time in Spain, I moved to the UK and I started to lead global products for Telefonica too. O2 is a brand of Telefonica. And afterwards, I changed industry and moved to First Data, where I was a EMEA product manager managing an application called Payments on the Go. So merchants, very small merchants, could pay bills on the street. And it was very similar to Square, which is the competition at the time. Then I moved to a very small startup called Career Shifters, and there it was a very, very, very different beast because I moved from big corporations to a four people startup. Okay, I got hands-on on creating products from start, and that was a very, very exciting time of my life. And then I moved to a global product consultancy company called Globant. And currently I'm working in Santander Universities. So I like to think about my career as like Picasso with his paintings. You know, I started with a blue phase, then I went to a green phase, and now in my red phase of my career. So you're going to see a lot of red in the presentation and in my t-shirt. So let's start. So I just wanted to start with an anecdote. So during my time at Career Shifters, I worked with a lot of coaches, professional career coaches. And this person that you're seeing he's called James Bianco. And he was one of the best coaches in Career Shifters at the time, okay? And one of the things that James did very, very well is that he made a lot of questions, you know? People came to calls, all the business is online, so people came to calls, just like this one, and he would start to ask questions, you know, like people would say, I'm just frustrated with my career. So what makes you frustrated? What's the most important issue with your career right now? And he would start to make questions and more questions and more questions. And it was just sometimes like, come on, give an advice, you know, just why are you making so much questions? Why are you just, you know, making 17, 18 questions? But the point is that he got to the root of the problem. And he got really, really deep. And then his piece of advice, his coaching, as you may say, was really, really profound. And people shift their perspectives very, very quickly, you know. But the thing, if you just take from this conversation we're going to have today, just make more questions, you know. You just need to, don't go to the solution, make more questions, go deeper and deeper. And sometimes you just find new business models in the questions you're making, okay? So the second story I would like to talk about, sorry, is that when I was living in London, my family is from Spain, and I have a little kid. He was 2 at the time, and he was just like making so much mess, and I was just in the plane complaining so much with my wife, like he doesn't stop, you know, moving. He's shouting all the time. He's making me really, really mad. And after 5 or 10 minutes complaining, a guy turned around and he said, look, I know you're suffering with your child, but small children are small problems and big children are big problems, okay? And that taking into the field of product is really, really true, When you're on a startup, you think you have a ton of problems, but as your startup starts to grow, you're going to have different kind of problems, okay? So that's what I would like to talk you through, because I've been there and I've suffered each of these phases on my own skin. I want to just go through each of the phases that you're going to go as you grow your startup or where you are, and my personal advice to you around what your problem focus should be, okay? So let's start with the empathy phase. The empathy phase is usually you have an idea, you say, wow, I'm going to make millions and this idea is going to be so good. But the reality when you are talking about an idea is you are thinking about actually a problem and you want to make a solution. You want to make a fit to the problem you're trying to solve. It's like when you're young and you just create a lemonade stand, and you put 2 glasses of lemonade there and you just put the price and you start selling lemonade in the street. It's just like, I'm going to test, I'm going to see what happens. And one of my advices is that you use the lean canvas. I don't know if you have any questions, just stop me. I talk a lot, but if you want to ask any questions, or maybe at the end, okay? So there's a big buzz about the business model canvas, but I really like when you're on the empathy phase to use the lean canvas. And the lean canvas is just focusing on the problem. What are the problems of the users? What is the solution I'm going to provide? The key metrics, and what is the unfair advantage. So if you think about the lemonade stand, the problem is that people are thirsty. The solution is I'm going to make lemonade. Key metrics could be how many glasses of lemonade I'm selling. And you have to really think about the unfair advantage there, okay? Just to give you an example of this kind of work based on the work we did on career shifters. The problem is that people are very frustrated with their careers, and the solution is to provide them coaching, But another problem people have with coaching and career coaching specifically is that you have like 2 things you could do. You could either read a book, which is very, very cheap, but it doesn't push you forward, or one-on-one coaching, which is extremely expensive, and you are actually putting thousands of pounds or dollars or euros into making that career change, and you're just not sure, okay? The unfair advantage that career shifters provided was, hey, you don't know what you want to do with your career. You're going to join other people, just like this call. You're going to pay a small amount of money, and you're going to have 3 hours of group coaching. So that's an unfair advantage. Nobody's doing that. And it's actually a very, very good idea, right? A business idea. The problem I have with these canvases and the empathy phase is like, how do I find out the customers? How do I find out the unfair advantage? How do I know I'm going on the right track, right? Because you feel this and I'm telling you the solution, but you actually don't know. You have to focus on the problem, not on the solution, okay? So one book I really, really, really recommend, it's called The Mom Test. And this book is called The Mom Test because it gives you an example of someone trying to sell, to create a recipe app and sell it to their mom, and to talk about the mom test. So there's 3 principles to the mom test. The first one is you talk about their life instead of your idea. The second one is ask about specifics in the past instead of generics or opinions in the future. And the third one is talk less and listen more. So I'm going to give you a real example about that you can find in the book. So imagine you want to create an app, a recipe app, and you want to, and your first customer is your mom. Okay, so you go to your mom, she's invited you home to eat lasagna, and the first thing you say to your mom is like, hey mom, I'm just creating this recipe app and it's going to be great and you're going to have thousands of recipes. Would you like to have that kind of app in your iPad? Because I see you have an iPad. And your mom, because she loves you and she doesn't want to hurt your feelings, she's going to say, yeah, I would love to have an app like that. Okay. And I think you would love to have like pasta recipes and Spanish recipes and UK recipes, and maybe you want to have a dessert, and your mom is going to say, yeah, I would love to, and it's going to have a search engine, and it's going to be super easy to use, and you're just doing all the talking, and your mom is always saying yes, and mom, would you pay like $5 for this app? Yeah, of course I would. So if you see the 3 points, you're talking about your idea instead of asking about her life, so you don't pass the mom test. You ask about specifics in the past? No, you're asking about general opinions about what she's going to do in the future. Third, you're talking a lot. You're just doing all the talking about your idea, how great it's going to be. This happens a lot to people that have had a sales background. You're trying to sell, okay? The point is not to sell. The point is to understand the problems of your customers and go deeper, just like James did, okay? You want to go deeper. So I'm going to do the same thing, but passing the mom test. So your mom, again, invites you to lasagna to her house, and you say, hey, mom, I love your lasagna. So where did you get this recipe from? Oh, I have this little book, and I just write the recipes I most like. Oh, great. And what about other recipes? Where do you get them from? I have these 3 or 4 books, there on the shelf. And do you buy other things? Where do you buy other recipe books? No, actually, I don't buy other recipe books. Okay. And I saw your iPad. What do you use on your iPad? No, I use Skype to talk with my grandchildren, and I write to read the news. Okay, and something more? No, not really, not really. Okay, ma'am, I was talking with you the other week, and that wasn't feeling very well, and I know you had to change your recipes. So I know you had to make these recipes without salt, and you like doing tasty food. So where did you find those? Oh, I searched them in the internet. Oh, you searched them in the internet. Where did you search it? Where did you search those kind of recipes? Oh, I looked in this app called lowsaltrecipes.com. So if you see, now we passed the mom test. We're talking about her life and what she does. We're talking about specifics she's doing, and we're just making questions and questions and questions and going deeper, okay? And the point here is that actually, if you see, you're not going to make an app to sell to people like in the age of your mom, but maybe you're going to have an app that works for people that are looking for recipes without salt or special needs recipes, but you have to change the focus and you have to pass the mom test, okay? So just a summary of this phase, it's just you have to make a lot of questions. The bad questions are, what do you think about the idea? Would you buy this product? How much would you pay for this? And a good question is, how are you dealing with it now? Like your mom is just writing the recipe, she has her book, she doesn't want an app, okay? How did you solve this problem in the past? Well, if it's a specific recipe, I just search it in the internet, and that's about it. And the very good question here is, who else should I talk to? Who else should I talk to, okay? Sorry, that was my son. And that's a very, very important question, because in this phase, you're going to be doing a lot of talking, okay? And just to give you the kind of understanding of how many people you should be talking, roughly between 25 and 50 people per week. It's like the most obsessive thing you need to do is just talk to customers, understand their problems, and then once you have the problem sorted out, you can start to think about a solution. Like in Career Shifters, they said, okay, I understand the problem. People can pay a lot of money or no money, and there's no shift. Okay, let's make a very small, like lemonade stand. Let's make a workshop, get 10 people and see if they pay £75 for this workshop, okay? So this is the empathy phase. And the problem is understanding your customers, going deeper with questions, okay? The next phase is the sticky phase, which I call the product market fit, okay? So now you have your lemonade stand and people are coming and they're putting money on the table, okay? And what you want to do now, and this is a tool I really, really like, it's called the Lean UX Canvas, okay? So this was invented by a friend of mine called Jeff Gottfeld. And what you want to do is just focus first on the problem the customers are having and the users you want to tackle. What are the business outcomes and what are the benefits, okay? So, and how do we think we will get there, okay? So imagine you have this lemonade stand and you're just like, the users are just children that are in the neighborhood, and what are the business outcome? Okay, I'm just selling 10 lemonades. I would like to sell 40. And you start to make an hypothesis, and then you think, what is the most important thing we need to learn now, and what's the least amount of work we need to do to get to the next point? So you're just segmenting problems, and you're just thinking about the outcomes you want to have, and you're just making an hypothesis and thinking about what is the least work I need to do, okay? And two things would happen. This is another canvas from Jeff Gottfeld. So you could find a problem that is very, very big. So let's put an example of career shifters. You want to create a marketplace where you link coaches and people that want to make a career change, okay? That's a big thing. You don't know how to do it, so you just have to go to the test phase, high value, but you just have to test the idea, iterate. You cannot ship. If there's an idea that it has a high value and you know what to do, you just have to go and make it happen, okay? And you just measure it. And low value perceived ideas, you just don't have to do them, okay? But it's good because sometimes there's a discussion of, should we go to the delivery, okay, and start developing, or should we go to discovery, okay? And that's the next step I'm going to talk about. How I work and how I love to work is creating a problem backlog. That means I think about problems, think about the opportunities those problems could be. They are always focused on the OKRs of the business, okay? And I just make problem after problem. I call them initiatives, discovery initiatives, okay? And you always make the same questions. You say, what does this problem solve? How big is the problem? What evidence do we have this is a problem? And how is it aligned with the OKRs? Once the problem is really, really nailed down, you go to discovery, okay? And then you start to see, how do you solve that problem? If you are in a bigger organization, usually problem is a product manager thing, and solution discovery is a product designer thing, okay? And once you have the solution and you're clear about the problem, the opportunity, the solution, and which one is the best, you just go to delivery. And I purposely put discovery very, very big and delivery very small, because delivery, when it goes to the backlog and people start to develop it, it's a very high cost. So you want to be very, very, very sure that that problem is a problem, is that delivery and that the development is the one that's going to solve your problem, okay? And one really, really good practice I have, which I highly recommend, is that you sit down and you really go down deep into the problem. I use Confluence. In the past, I use Google Drive, but you want to just write down the problem. So what is the problem? What is the real problem? How did we tackle it in the past? What is the competition? How is it aligned with the OKRs? What ideas do I have to solve it? You can write everything down and you just dump everything there, and then you share it with your technical leader and your designer, okay? But that helps you like stop the machine and go deep. I don't know about you, but when you're just on Agile, it's like sprint after sprint, you're going very fast, and sometimes there's no space to think about the problems deeper. And you want to think about the problems and have that space, that mind space, okay? When we go to the virality phase and going through the lemonade example, what you really want to think about is, okay, this business is growing, people are coming, they're putting the money. How can I actually find a way so more people come and more people buy, okay? And one book I'm just a book fan, is the one called Traction, okay? And what it says, this book is just, has a framework called the Bullseye framework, and you just have to think about, how am I going to get customers, there's a very important VC called AZ16, and they said that 50% of the startups they're just very focused on the product, but they don't have an acquisition channel. How do you get customers? And they don't invest because they don't have acquisition channel. So you're thinking about acquisition, and traction is basically quantitative evidence of customer demand. So how many people come and how many people are asking for your product and how many more people are going to come, okay? So the framework is very simple. First, you just think of the outer circle, of the outer ring, and what's possible, and you just brainstorm every single traction channel you could think of. The middle ring is what's probable. You just run cheap experiments on different channels and see which one is making people come more. Okay, and the inner one is just you think about the one that's working and you push forward very, very fast on that one. Okay, just to give you an example of the importance of having traction and knowing the channel that is more important to you, I want to talk about product tank. So and mind the product. So if you see this room, you see 1,600 people in a conference room. And now let's imagine COVID, okay? This business model is just blown up in the face. They cannot do anything about it. You cannot get so many people in a room anymore, okay? So something that was very profitable and was working, now it's totally disrupted, okay? So if you were the product manager of Mind the Product, what would you do? That's a big question, right? The thing that they have and the traction channel that they have is newsletters. Every week they send newsletters after newsletter. They get more traction. They have very good content. So they pivoted the business model last month, and now they're offering a membership. But if you think they have a very big brand, but the thing that is enabled them to make this shift, and I think they're going to make it happen, is that they have a traction channel where they can get to thousands of people and make this offer, okay? So traction channels is really important. Many product managers don't think about it. And what you have to think is about getting a marketing manager or a growth hacker into your team, because if you don't have customers, there's no business, okay? The last phase is the scale phase, okay? And it's creating new markets. If you think about Airbnb or very big companies, you're just creating new markets from nothing, okay? And one thing I put as a picture is just you just want to make a lemonade company, okay? And one of the big challenges here is that you actually not now need to think about the business model, about partners, resources, activities, customer relationships. You know, all these things are very important when you're scaling a business, okay? And a key partner could just shift the conversation, shift the business and make it grow 10x, okay? And another thing that you really need to focus on is how am I going to organize the company? If you're a VP of product or CPO, it's like, how are we going to work in this product that has many lines of work, many people working on it, and how are we going to communicate here, okay? So I've put two examples. This is the squad from Spotify, where you have chapters and then you have squads, and you work in a cross-functional way. And another way I've studied is SAFE, where you scale the organization and each role has its own roles and responsibilities, and there's a cadence in the business, okay? And this is really important. When you're scaling, if you don't do this right, your business can go bananas because there's a lot of miscommunication, fights. So you really want to put focus on creating a governance, if you could say so, okay? And so the conclusions of the conversation we're having now is on the empathy phase, just, you know, do the mom test. Just talk about their life, talk about their past, listen a lot, make more questions, get a lot of people into the conversation and record all of that conversations so you start to understand the problem, okay? And use the lean canvas. On the sticky phase, what you have to do is, what is your next hypothesis? Build a problem backlog and validate your problems as fast and cheap. And I put talk it to your rubber duck, but it's basically write it down or just give your space to push down your thinking about the problem, okay? The next one is the virality phase, and you just have to focus on what is going to move and create traction in your business and push with all you can that traction channel or that distribution channel. And the last one is just work on the business model and define a governance structure. Okay? And you have product squads or SAFE framework. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got value from the presentation.
That's all. Thanks a lot, Alex, for joining us today. It was really amazing session, and yeah, we would like to have you once again for more such interesting sessions.
No, you're welcome. And good luck to everybody. Product management is a really tough thing. So I hope you got some tips that help you become better product managers and better leaders.